Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly Duan. It's my pleasure to be here today to talk about process mining. Our most recent paper about process mining, using process mining to evaluate companies' internal controls just got published. So we're very excited about that. So I'm happy to share some information that I teach students at my university. So here we go. The learning objective for this lecture are listed here. First, I want to introduce you the basic concept of a process mining, understand what process mining is and what can it do. Then we'll discuss how to develop an understanding of the business process model and to know how to build a business process model for process mining analysis. Then I will introduce you a process mining software, Celonis, and show you or demonstrate how to use Celonis to perform different process mining analysis. So the first question is, what is process mining? And I have a short video from Celonis. Here we go.
Let's talk about process mining. What is it? Process excellence leaders will tell you it's their secret weapon. Finance people might say it's the best trick up their sleeves for optimizing working capital. Our intern? Well, they're not quite sure yet, which is why we like to keep it simple. Process mining is like an x-ray for your business processes. Every process step you take leaves digital traces in your transactional systems. Process mining extracts that data to visualize every move you make in real time. It gives you a living, breathing, moving picture of your processes as they really are. Really. Process mining identifies inefficiencies, reveals their root causes, quantifies their impact, and helps you understand how to fix them. Told you, it's just like an x-ray. Neat, right? The beauty of process mining is that it can apply to any process on any system. But knowing where the problems are is pointless without a plan to fix them. The Celonis execution management system uses process mining to identify inefficiencies and then leverages AI and automation to fix them. So you can maximize the capacity of your processes, eliminate billions in corporate inefficiency, and out-execute your competition. But process mining is still the first step. Take your first step with us. Find out more today at celonis.com.
So process mining is defined as an analytical discipline for discovering, monitoring, and improving processes as they actually are and not as what you think they might be. So it allows users to visualize the data contained in the event logs from a company's IT system to analyze a business process. As mentioned in the video, process mining analyzes transactions, digital traces, identifies process inefficiencies, reviews the root causes, and quantifies their impacts, and understands how to fix them. So process mining is actually IT system-based work. So any process interactions will produce data that is stored in transactional system like SAP or Oracle. So the data always contains three important pieces of information: activities, time, and ID. So process mining gives the user a data-driven view of the entire business process, or give the user the ability to see all the passes of these digital footprints. Most importantly, the analysis reveals what actually happens within an organization, not what a user thinks or expects. So the event logs contains the digital footprints of all the sequenced steps that carried out by people or the system during a process. So it is the most minimal form. An event log needs to contain information, including the case ID, which is the unique identifier for each transaction. Sometimes it's called as a transaction ID. The second piece information it requires is called activities, which is the specific actions that are taken in the system. The third piece of information is a timestamp, is when the activity took place, including the date and time. So on right-hand side on the slides, you can see an example of the event logs. For example, the first transaction ID 2000 here, the company creates various documents. What we call here is the activity, including create digital purchase order, create picking tickets, and so on. As you can see on the right hand, the third column here is called a timestamp. It shows the time of each activity that occurred, including the date, month, year, hours, minutes, even the seconds. So together, all these activities is related to one transaction ID, shows every activity related to a single sale that company made. So the starting point for process mining is the event logs from a company's ERP system. All the process mining techniques assume that it is possible to sequentially record all these events, what we refer is as the activity here, and it's related to a particular case. And event logs can also store additional information about the events, for example, the resources or the dollar amount and so on. Celonis has this slide to give user a glance how process mining works. Here, you have all the business processes that's being recorded in the company's system. This including different ERP systems, and all the process data is recorded in the event logs. Once the data is being captured and organized, the next step is to use different analytics to analyze the processes and intelligently improve business process. As I mentioned before, each business transaction or activity that occurred within an organization will generate a digital trace, which is recorded in the event logs. And each one of the process flow from one activity to the next is called a variant. So variants represent each unique path. So it is a chronological sequence of events that shows all the different paths that the case took place from the beginning of the process to the end. And all different variants altogether produce the whole business process map. And in this figure here, it demonstrates how process mining established the links between the actual process and their data and the process model. So the business environment here has all sort of information, and the entity, the company's IT system contains enormous amount of different events. So the information flows to and captured by the IT system in a company that contains all the detailed information about the activities has been executed, which we call the event logs here. Most important information, those systems store the data event in an unstructured form. For example, data is scattered over many different tables or even the subsystems. Therefore, it requires some efforts to extract relevant information. This is where process mining contributes. There are three main types of process mining: process discovery, conformance, and enhancement. So based on the big data, process mining allows user to see the path of different digital footprints in a systematic way in order to improve or enhance the existing business process model. As I mentioned before, there are three types of process mining. Discovery, which takes an event log and produce a model without using any prior information. It produces a business process model explaining the behavior that being recorded in the event log. For example, a social network showing how people work together in an organization. So under this step, you will see all different variants and all together represent the whole process model. Oftentimes, users examine these processes and evaluate the process performance, some of the questions you may ask: why are these cases late? Where are the bottlenecks? Which resources are overloaded? The second type is conformance. This is to compare existing process model with an event log of the same process. In other words, it's to compare the reality with the expected flow. It's often used to detect and explain deviations and to measure the severity of those deviations. So under this step, users check which activities are skipped, which resources cause deviations. Are these deviations acceptable or not? The third type is called enhancement. This is to extend or improve existing process model using information about the actual process recorded in the event log. So this method is actually to change or repair the prior process model. It also to determine which activities can be automated or any changes needs to be made or should the process needs to be redesigned. Process mining analysis can be conducted based on different perspectives. The starting point is event log and some initial process model. The initial process model may have been constructed manually. You can construct it based on the walkthrough meetings you conducted with the management or discover through process mining analysis. The perspectives are mainly categorized into 4 types. The first one is control flow perspectives, which focus on the control flow, such as the ordering of different activities, identify all possible transaction paths. The second type is organizational perspective. This is to find the hidden information in the event logs, discover some unknown prior information, such as a social network analysis to see which employees are involved in a transaction or how are they related to each other. The third perspective is case perspective, which is looking at a specific transaction case. It could be characterized by its path in the process or by the originator who's working on this case. The last perspective is time perspective. This is concerning with the timing and frequency of events because the event logs contains timestamps information. So it is possible to verify the duration and the frequency of a transaction. So it can be used to discover the bottlenecks issues, measure service levels, monitor the utilization of resources, and predict the remaining process time of a running case. So the different perspectives are partially overlapping and non-exhaustive. So they provide a good characterization of different aspects that process mining can be done. Some process mining software such as Celonis, Disco Pro M are public available. So in this time, I'm going to show you one of the popular tools for process mining analysis, which is Celonis, to demonstrate analysis. The software provides a visual view of the process. You can see the transaction flow from each activities. Here's an example on the slides on the right. However, this only represents part of the transaction flow. In reality, it actually looks like this on the screen. This is also known as the spaghetti processes. So as I mentioned before, there are 3 types of process mining analysis. The first one is process discovery. Using process mining tool, you can analyze the different variants, which is the path of the transactions to discover certain transactions. The second part is the conformance. As we mentioned before, this is compare what happened in the reality versus what you expected. So the process model is a predefined process model. This is what we expected. And the process mining to be able to compare what actually happened within the organization to predefined process model and produce a report similar on the screen, so you can find what are the deviations, what are the violations, how many transactions are conforming with what you expected, how many of them are not conforming with the expectation. And here's a process model look like in Celonis. This requires some relational database knowledge. All right. So one example to show process mining analysis is allows user to visually to see the actual data flow and identify the problematic areas. Once you have this process, all the paths showing in front of you, you can perform initial evaluation based on this. For example, the preliminary analysis here you can be done is for the activity that shows as a credit denied, what you expected here is the transaction will all the way to the end of the transactions. There shouldn't be any transactions afterwards. However, if you look very closely here, we can see there are 42 transactions actually flow from credit denied to create picking tickets. And there are 30 transactions follow through from credit denied to receive payments. So these transactions indicate some potential issues requires further investigation. So in this case, process mining tools summarize all different variants that are identified with the number of transactions. User can determine which variants are acceptable, which one are not. So in our example here, clearly the first two variants are acceptable, but the last two are not according to the company's rules, right? From auditor's perspective, so different user can use this tool for their own purposes. From audit perspective, during their risk assessment, auditors may reconsider the risk level that associated with the non-acceptable variance. And in this case, auditors can consider to increase the risk level for the last two activities showing here. As I mentioned before, besides checking the sequence of the transactions, number of cases, we can also check the throughput time to identify where are the bottlenecks are. And you can also perform social network analysis to check whether the company has any segregation of duty issues. So you can visually see that one particular employee that are involved in majority of the activities and has interactions with many other users within the organization. However, you may also notice that many transactions are executed by one particular user, which is abnormal consider the company's rules for this business process. This may indicate that the company might have some segregation of duty issue. The transaction that executed by this particular employee may require further verification. So the advantage of a process mining, it allows a user to examine full population of data. We can perform variance analysis. As you can, the variance analysis is checking the sequence of the transactions, whether there are any missing activities or all the activities are in the right order, any redundant activities. We also need to determine whether those variants are acceptable or not. There are also additional analysis, as we mentioned before, including segregation of duty, personnel analysis, or social network analysis. And we can also perform timestamp analysis because process mining contains timestamp information. Certain companies do not allow employees to conduct business during off business hours or over the weekend. So that timestamp information allows us to check whether there are transactions that violate business rules. As I mentioned, to establish an event log, you need to require event log is the starting point of process mining. So you need some relational database knowledge to understand how different tables are connected with each other. To understand how company's ERP system functioning, then you'll be able to extract event logs from the company's IT system. Then once you have the event logs built, so you can perform process mining.